Peace, family, peace. I see y'all in here waiting. Thanks for your patience. Black Magic 363, we are black and back. I'm with the brother Rod Hayes. We're gonna have an amazing show. A couple of announcements before we start. If you see somebody in the comment section spamming with my name, that's not me. That's some type of Nigerian scammer. I'm not trying to get you to WhatsApp to buy Bitcoin. If you see somebody say call this number, that's not me, family. I don't respond to comments, so that's not me in the comment section. All right, family. So do not respond to anybody pretending to be me in the comment section. All right, family. Besides that, I want to give a shout out to Black Dot with the gear. Urban X TV. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel, Black Dot. I purchased some merchandise from the brother. It's important to support the brothers and sisters out there doing a good job. And that brother has amazing clothing line. So shout out to Black Dot and Malcolm. And besides that, as usual, I got to give a shout out to my brother King Simon, one of the best when it comes to numerology. Text me your full name, date of birth, 347-496-1022. All right. The brother also has a course on udemy.com. You can check that course out and look into his other courses as well. Also, the website blackmagicuniversity.com is now live. Go there, check it out. I got workshops that I've been doing the last couple of years posted on there, and just some real good stuff. We're gonna have merchandise and physical products soon as well. All right, family. And with that being said, now back. I see there's a little echo. I hope y'all can still hear me good. Rod Hayes, welcome back, my brother.
Thank you for having me, man. I had rave reviews about the last encounter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It was amazing, brother. It was absolutely amazing. That's why I'm glad to have you. I seen a video of yours. You was talking about the Anunnaki, and I was like, damn, this brother dropping it. He's saying some stuff I never heard before, and I went back to the video and it was gone. I don't know if I couldn't find it the right way, but I was like, oh, man, let me bring the brother on and let him drop it on my channel because I know the folks need to hear it. And let me just say this before we start, brother. Majority of the information we have out there on the Anunnaki and Atlantis, number one, a lot of our black scholars think it's fantasy and it's not real. And number two, a lot of it is coming from a European perspective. And, it could be watered down. We don't know, what they throwing in there. So it's good to see a brother like you drop some science on the Anunnaki. Blue Pill was saying a couple of months ago, I need somebody from the underground to talk about the Anunnaki. So with that being said, my brother, could you talk? Let's start the conversation. Tell me a little bit about the history of the Anunnaki and their relation to us, my brother.
Okay, so one of the things you said, I want to start with how you open. Because you said that most of our scholars don't accept the Anunnaki and that most of it is Eurocentric in viewpoint. Mm-hmm. The Anunnaki, when you look up Anu being the king of the Anunnaki. Mm-hmm. All right. In Egypt, he's not called Anu. He's called An, A-N.
A-N.
Right? Or they call him Ani, A-N-N-I. Right? So a lot of us get that mixed up because we don't know what the Egyptian equivalents to the Sumerian information is. It's telling the same story.
Okay.
Just using different names. Mm-hmm. All right? So I don't really like to talk about anything alien to Earth because most of us down here, we so busy focused on all of the shit in the stars, under the ground, flat Earth, round Earth, hollow Earth, all these different things, these paradigms, but we're not paying attention to what's going on in front of us. Mm-hmm. But we at a point now where I can't no longer not talk about Anunnaki. Mm-hmm. Right, I can't leave that out. A good young elder from the Nubians did a good expo on the Anunnaki the other day on his channel a couple days ago, and it's ironic that the same day I was listening to that, it's the same day you said, "Hey, why don't you come on my show talk about the Anunnaki?" Mm-hmm. So the Atlanteans is the Earthborn. They call themselves the Earthborn. Mm-hmm. children of the stars.
Mm.
What that mean is organically we emerge with Earth's creation. So our spirit is tied to the Earth spirit, right? So we talking Atlantean.
Mm.
And all of the souls on the earth is a reflection of one of those stars in the sky, unless they don't belong here.
Mm.
All of our souls is accumulated light energy in an accumulated um, body form. The body itself is not even what people think it is. It's organic nanotech, right? So what we call DNA is it's called it's crystalline um amino acids that forms into a organic receiver of sorts. The physical body is not who we are. The Anunnaki knew this and the Atlanteans knew this. When the first Anunnaki came, his name was Ilya, or some say Iliu. The first one came. The reason he came is he got exiled from Nibiru. He got exiled from Nibiru because he challenged Anu for the throne in hand-to-hand combat while he was the reigning king. Or Anu challenged him. However it was, in hand-to-hand combat, Anu won. Right? When he won, now Ilio got to go find his way and make his way outside. It's like you challenging Pops and you win. Right? So this get him kicked out. Now you got to get kicked out the house. Go out there and make your way in the world. Well, the world to them is galaxies and universes.
Mm.
So when you go in to make your way, you are going to try to establish somewhere where you can exercise your God force. The God force is your innate creativity, expression of the divine feminine Shakti creative force energy in the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say that a couple times because a lot of people don't get the part that divine feminine is a feminine planet. You have masculine planets.
Mm-hmm.
Mars is a masculine planet. Jupiter is a masculine planet. Uranus is a masculine planet. Venus is a feminine planet. Mercury is a masculine planet. Right? The sun itself is what you call the great androgyny.
Mm.
It's neuter gender, it's gender neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's what you call it's in the state of the now, permanent now. It's in the perpetual state of being in the now. Right? So even though it looked like the sun rising and setting, the sun it ain't doing nothing. It's doing what it do far as emitting information. Each solar ray is emitting information. And it comes in on angles of light. And these are your light body angels. Right? So every planet in the solar system, in any solar system, is under the protection of what you call the divine sun, S-U-N. The symbol for the divine sun in the human arena is something called a divine S-O-N, sun, which is the heir to join the family, mother line and father line, right? As a representation of both of them standing in what they call the balance. So now we're talking about Mach.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I tell everybody don't take sides. When you review the information, don't take sides with the person, take sides with the information. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you take sides with people, people can mislead you,
Right, right.
right? And when they mislead you, they putting their own spin on information. This is why you tell them to bring the receipts. So what we know mostly about the Anunnaki come from a couple of prime sources. We got Eric Von Däniken, we got Zechariah Sitchin. Those are the oldest two writers in the Occident meaning in the Eurocentric worldview. These are the main two, but there are others too. Like my man that wrote Fingerprints of the Gods. Oh, I forgot his name. But there's others. But biblically speaking, they not called Anunnaki. In the Bible, they call Elohim,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Also in the Bible, they are called Nephilim,
Mm.
right? And the Nephilim are the ones who came to earth, right? So when they translate Nephilim, it say those who from heaven to earth came, right? So
Mm.
now when you look at the word Anunnaki, Anu meaning the most exalted one, Na sent Ki to earth. Ki, Qi, or Kai is earth,
It's Earth.
right? Anu sent them. That makes them Anunnaki.
Mm.
Species, you can't rely on one species. You got melanated ones like us.
Mm.
You got some of them that's like dark purple.
Mm.
You got some of them that's like heavy chocolate with heavy chocolate eyes that reflect like a hazel complexion behind the darkness. Then you have those that's not even that don't have the same skin we do. We call them reptilians.
Would
But
they look like? Would they
all
look
of them
like?
not all of them not reptilians. Some of the ones we call them reptilians are amphibians. Right. So this is where we start getting into the it's because Nibiru is a planet that Earth can fit in about 8 times.
Mm.
It was once a star like our sun. Now it's called a brown dwarf, but it was a giant metallic star. But the Anunnaki was technologically enough advanced that when it became a brown dwarf, meaning a dead star, they knew how to use it and create a livable habitat on the interior.
Mm.
Right. So then they was able, now they can actually steer Nibiru. So when we looking at the ancient documents, we know that something happened when the Anunnaki came in force. The next to come after Iliu was the Inanna, which was the scientist and the birth maiden. What we call in Egypt the Sa priestess. She was the highest of all Sa priestesses, right? That gave her, when she made the covenant between the Galactic Council to settle Earth, she also had to sync her DNA to Earth. When she do that, that physical vessel she inhabited can no longer uh, travel the stars the same, because if she dies somewhere, she's going to be drawn back here, right? Because she synced to the Earth. This is one we call Aset in Egypt, right? She got other names too, like Inanna, Kalima. They're different aspects is how they draw. Now, the propaganda machine of the Anunnaki is simply to change the names of the gods that done it to the god that didn't do it, and you automatically confused because they can do that shit in the 1200s, but we won't get the information to 2020, right? So they didn't switch the name. Example, Marduk. Everybody think Marduk is Thoth's brother, what they call Ninigajita in the Sumerian tablets. Well, they half right, because Enki had a son named Marduk, but also his half brother Enlil had a son named Marduk.
Mm.
All right, now Enki and Inanna was the ones who was sent originally to Earth, and it was peaceful. It was peaceful interactions. But the gold wasn't reaching Nibiru in sufficient quantity or quality and fast enough for them to do the work that they had to do to save the planet. So Enlil, one Enlil mean Lord of the sky. When you see the word En, that means Lord. Lil means sky, right? When you hear Enki name, En means Lord. Kai means earth. He is the Lord of the earth, right? So he was given that dominion, and he was having a blast down here. And but they didn't have wars, wasn't here yet, like we come to know them.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had our personal I can manifest better than you wars. They call
Mm-hmm.
conjure wars today. But it's all about who can manifest the best life for the most people is the one who get the rule, right? So whatever you doing on earth, you can challenge the throne by fisticuffs. But when the leaders go up in age, they normally have a young fighter coming up with the same uh, drive, what we call it, the same spirit, right? He just like me, but he younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and so they got rules. They believe in following the laws and the rules of galactic law over man law over material law. When you say material law, people think you're talking about American jurisprudence. That's not material law. We know material law is the laws of physics. The laws of physics is the laws that governs the physical existence, right? So once you understand the laws of physics, then you understand the laws that the Anunnaki follow and why they don't get two shits about what they legislate in DC. Because we didn't either. We got tricked into all of that. So once the Anunnaki came and they started to mine the earth for the gold, right? They was using the what we call pygmies, the sign, the Twa, Tahites, depending on which culture they in. But they those little people that look like us that been on the earth in human form longer than even us. We've been here longer, but we wasn't in human form. We normally govern the 3D world from the fourth dimension astral matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Anunnaki Wars, you read about them in India as what they call the Brahmanas Wars. And the text is called the Brahmana Sutras,
Mm.
right? And the great what's that book called? Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is having a conversation with Lord Krishna, right? And Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna why he see family members on opposite sides of the war fighting each other. Because some families been infiltrated. And that still stands true to this day. A lot of us think we fighting for us, but we really fighting for our sworn enemy who's gonna kill the ones who turned on us to support them. They gonna kill their ass and they gonna turn them into food. Because they are, for us, we would call it cannibalistic. To them, it's not, right? Because they just want to absorb your essence. When they eat you, they absorb your essence, right? So those ones that turned on us, they don't have to answer to us. We sent them right on along with the Anunnaki when they come. The Anunnaki come when they tell you about the all these people being collected at the end time, the closing of the age is what they're talking about. Right, the end of the world is so far away for us in this reality that it's not even worth discussing. It's what you call a vain discussion. We can end all human life and most animal life on the planet, but we can't exterminate it. We don't have the capability to totally exterminate Earth. With all of the nuclear bombs, they can blow up every nuclear bomb on the Earth and some of the stuff under the water. But Earth will heal back up over time and regenerate, and we still gonna be here. Whether we take on this kind of human body or Earth decide to put us in some other sentient form, right? We still gonna be Earthborn. We just gotta wait for the earth to replenish itself and to rebuild. It's just like a lady that just had a baby, right? Now, she can have another one, but she gotta heal up first, right? And that's how earth is with us. We can come back, but certain conditions have to be met. And so when the Enlil was dispatched, he was a military leader. He wasn't a scientist. So he put everything under military jurisdiction of the Anunnaki. This is where we get your war god versus the devil. Anybody who come as your adversary. The word mean enemy or adversary. So anybody that issues a challenge to you is your devil. And the quality of your devil or your adversary is in direct relation to the quality of your self-development. Get out that spooky shit. That shit ain't real. The next thing, so Enlil, okay, let's go to the story of biblical story of Abraham, because this is going to help you understand about how the Anunnaki use disinformation and misinformation in order to tell you, because they have to tell you what they're going to do, because this is a free will universe, but they can code it. The Bible is a book of codes extracted from Coptic writings, or what they call early Christian writings before Rome. Rome didn't get a hold of the church until 325 when Constantine decided to use it as a tool of political control. But that was all Anunnaki guided. That was under the reign of Enlil. Enlil put Rome in power, and he had 6,000 years to collect his gold, right? Because he wanted to use military production, which was far more of a greater scale than what we call labor production or common worker production, right? So the civilian sector could not extract the gold faster than the Anunnaki military contingent. Now, once Enlil came, he wanted to stay, and he wanted to overthrow Enki and Inanna. Income an alternative dimension. They don't look like we look, but if they die on Earth, they're gonna come back looking just like us. Because the closest thing in this dimension that match their frequency is us. But they not gonna vibe on our frequency. They gonna vibe on a whole nother frequency because they not like us. They come from a restricted will universe. And this is what the tyranny and misery on Earth comes from, people from restricted will universes operating in the free will universe.
Wow. Wow.
So this is an automatic conflict. Right? So Enki he was the ruler of Earth. Inanna was his counterpart, his wife, and Enlil was both of their brother. He was Inanna's fraternal twin, and he was Enki's half brother. Both of them all of them sons and daughters of Anu. Right? So when we start going into what are they doing here? They came to get the gold. Where do the gold come from? It's a side effect of us being on Earth, the Earthborn. Us being here causes a reaction with this local star, what we call the sun. And as it hits the core of the Earth, it collects as a filament or as a like a filtration process, and the oil is the ones from the mirror universe, what we call fossil fuel, black gold, Texas tea, that shit. That's the side effect of them being here. We can generate the fossil fuels in the earth by allowing certain stuff to decay over a prolonged period of time. This means that all oil is is accumulated chaos force.
Whew.
And that means that the gold is the accumulated light force.
Damn, brother.
Right? Now, you got platinum group metals. Each one of the platinum group metals supposed to represent one of the earth tribes from all over the earth. So the Anunnaki understand human psychology better than most humans. So that's how they knew to use divide and conquer, which is your Tower of Babel story. They give them different languages, move them to different geographies. All of these ancient writings that's still in existence is in the Tibetan mountains, and you can only get certain ones of them be released at certain times. The monks know which ones to release at what time. They have to see certain people in the physical form present before they will release certain information. Right? So they got computers that's older than your pyramids in Egypt. Right? And they interactive computers, meaning whatever you can think, they can understand your language. Right? Whatever come across your mind as a question, they gonna have an answer. So this computers that's in these caves, only certain people are taught the knowledge of how to operate them and turn them on. But certain ones of us that look like me and you, organic to the earth, walk in the room and the computer will light up and greet you by your ancient name as if you never left. Right? Because your energy frequency is the same.
Right, right.
So remember, I told you the body is like it's organic 3D crystalline amino acids. The amino acids is used as a organic processor, microprocessors. They self-replicating, which is the phalanx technology. And Anunnaki can develop the technology so concise where it can replicate itself over and over without dying. Or they can strip back what we call on the DNA as telomeres. When they strip back the telomeres, they can strip it back far enough to limit your life.
You start to
And
age.
this, and that's why it say man should that the spirit the spirit of the Lord should not always dwell with man, for he is flesh. Mm. When they talk about flesh, like we've had people arguing veganism versus carnivorous, it's the same shit. The same shit that the cow got is the same shit that the collard greens got. Right? But we don't want to look at that reality because we want to dictate to somebody else their dietary plan. But we all had different diets because of the area we was in required different nutritional variations in order for us to develop the physical form needed to perform the tasks in the geography. So the DNA is synced to the local vegetation. Mm. Right? And this is why if you from the tribes on this land and they take you to China and murder you, when you reborn, you're going to still be reborn on this side of the water. Mm. If they take you to Africa, you're going to be born right back in the Americas because you're supposed to be here. So this is what makes me say we not native, we not indigenous, we organic to the land. Mm. Because the frequency is going to draw us right back here because the form that we need to sync with our vibration is only going to be born on the land mass in which you rule from. Right? So you could take let's say Goodwill Zwelithini, rest in power. He was the king of the Zulus in South Africa. Recently passed away about 8-9 months ago or so, maybe a little over a year ago. But let's say they'd have brought him over here and killed him. When he came back, he still would have came back in the Zulu clan over in South Africa. because the frequency that he's coming in on that's his earthborn channel. This is why they know who we is and when we coming, because we all come on a schedule. Some of us only can come when enough of us call for assistance. So when you read in the Declaration of Independence, and it's telling you that if this government gets that too out of control, it's spirits of the earth. What they call it, principalities of the earth. The principalities of the earth is us. We come back to fix this shit. But we only gonna come when the masters call. Right? So now you know when we talk about knocking, the masters is knocking like somebody knocking on your front door and say, hey, you on stage next. You up in 5, 4, 3, 2, you on sound, right? That's them telling you what move we need to make. Now, this time that we in right now, most people can't see it with the naked eye, but these sisters can feel it. On the far side of the sun, always directly across where we can't see it because of the glare, it's a parking lot. When I tell you it's a parking lot, I mean it's thousands and thousands and thousands of ships. But they just waiting. They waiting on the grand finale of this, do their own dirt. Right? So these, we talking to Anunnaki. When we talk about Enlil's children, we talk about those who on Earth, but they don't have a what we call a geographic homeland. Mm-hmm. Right? They wanderers on the earth. So when you go to the book of Job, and the sons of God came to prostrate before the Lord, and the Lord asked Satan, where comest thou? He say from Romans 2 and 4, to and fro, up and down, back and forth in the earth. That means he all over the earth. That's vibe like us, because Enlil is a warlord, and all his children are warlords. Right? Now, the record that we have on earth would have you believe that Marduk overthrew Anu on Nibiru. But that's not what happened. Remember, it's two
Marduks.
Mm. And they cousins. One of them is Thoth's brother, and the other one is Enlil's son, Thoth's cousin. Enlil called his son for backup, military support. Because he could, if he win by military conquest or deception, it don't matter. That he win, he can take the earth realm. The problem that he was faced with was Ninigajita, because he's an earthborn, but he got Anunnaki signatures in his DNA from Inanna, right? And this is your Immaculate Conception story, came from her after one of the battles between Enki and Enlil. She went to the Prime Creator. She bypassed Anu, which was her daddy, and went to Big Mama. Mm-hmm. Because Mother Earth, Gaia, said the only way we gonna protect Earth is we have to birth Earth protectors in male form. Right? Because too many women was being murdered in the hand-to-hand combat scenarios. Enlil is patriarchal psychologically. Enki, he don't care. He don't care about nothing else. He just wants to finish the job, whatever job he given, and while he doing that, he want good sex. That's it. Well, Thoth wasn't like that. Thoth was a concoction created by Gaia, Mother Earth, Big Mama, and Isis, the Queen of Heaven and Earth. Right? So they clicked up three sisters, the maiden, the mother, and the old crone, to produce a seed without no male Y chromosome, but he was turned out to be a male in the end with his own Y chromosome. Right? So that's your Immaculate Conception story. Why Immaculate means extremely clean. What they was making reference to was no semen. No semen. She was able to do it parthogenically. Women had produced women parthogenically for thousands of years, but they had not yet produced a male. Then you had to get clearance from the highest heaven in order to do something, because that's called, it's not on the books. You have to, it's what we would call it in law precedent. She was setting a precedent. But the thing that she created, he got what's called an extreme psycho monkey mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Hard headed, and he's incorrigible. Right? So nobody can control him, but he listened to mama and he listened to Big Mama. And he listened to the maiden, the mother, and the old crone, which is the wife, the mother, and the grandmama. He'll listen to a dude if he can tell that the dude telling him the truth, but he only gonna listen to him so far. He won't listen to him far enough to be controlled by him. Right? As long as it appears that the leader is going in the right direction, Thoth will go along with it until it deviates. Then he don't want no more parts of it. You deviating from mama plan, I don't want to participate. Right? So the Anunnaki then, when Enlil called his son Marduk for backup, now problem on Earth. They have nowhere to call home. They're gonna be wanderers on the Earth until the close of the age. If Enlil doesn't win, then they have to leave. But not just all of them got to leave.
Mm-hmm.
All of the Anunnaki that came here and settled Earth have to leave. The ones who don't leave are what we call the Earthborn sons of the mother, or Masons. Right? We got shit all twisted because we thinking the Masons is something else.
Mm-hmm.
The Masons are those sons born to the mother to protect the family. In the Bible, you will find them if you look up the term family redeemer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's in the Bible. It's almost impossible to put back together, but it's not impossible. Right? So from there, the Anunnaki wars on Earth broke out. The war in heaven, it was sibling rivalry between two brothers. One brother want to outdo the other brother, and he can't stand to be outdone. He get jealous and frustrated. So he set his sister up to get bopped upside the head. And they start calling her Mary as a derogatory term. Right? So when you read Isaiah 14 and it's talking about, oh, Lucifer, son of the morning, they're talking about Inanna. Right? And her son. She said she would exalt her son above the stars of God. They're talking about God right there. They're talking about Enlil and his children. He wanted to take Earth over for him and his children. And so he wanted to overthrow Inanna and Enki. Now, when I brought up Abraham earlier, you remember, I think it's in like the 18th chapter of Genesis. Abraham and Sarah sitting in the tent in the heat of the day, and they saw three strangers walking up. Abraham recognized them, fell down on his face and prostrated, and told Sarah to go fix him some food.
Mm-hmm.
That was Enki, Enlil, and Inanna. Now, we under the false impression that all of the angelic beings are males. That's not true. But to take it a step further, let's go. When Enki stayed to negotiate the terms of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Inanna and Enlil went to assess the situation and the grievances that's been vexed about Sodom and Gomorrah. When they seen Inanna, as with everywhere else she go, they fell in love with her instantly. She one of them kind of women where if she walk in the room, everybody look.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about? Cold
Yeah.
piece of work,
Yeah.
right? And she didn't age. She wore dreadlocks. Her skin is darker than mine, chocolate, but it got a a real red glow to it,
Mm.
right? But when she come in the room, you know it. She everybody mitochondria with her around is on 10. That's pure love energy, by the
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm.
Pure love energy. You can't help it. So yeah, they tried to hit on our Nana. And Leo got offended. So he wasn't finna save none of them. He quick to say kill the whole village instead of taking the bad apples out. Our Nana say no, take the bad apples out. This is what the negotiation. Inky, he's telepathically talking to Inanna and Enlil while Abraham is trying to plead for the life of Lot and his family. And remember, Lot was Abraham's nephew. Abraham's nephew wanted to go be his own man, set up his own shop. What'd he do? He went to Sodom and Gomorrah because he couldn't cut it by himself. He moved into the city and left the safety of the country. This is a repeat of what we doing now.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all left the country and ran to the city and looking for work. When we was able to be self-sufficient in the country, live off the fat of the land, so they had to figure out a way to get the land from us.
Mm.
Right? So they started a big ass war in Florida. All these are still the Anunnaki wars. Break dance off. That's what
Mm.
we do on Earth.
Mm.
Right? Twerk kind, right? We have the Olympics with all of the ice skating and the sky ballet, or what they call it, trampolines, trapezes. All of those are the things that we did on Earth to settle conflict in peace. They want to annihilate entire groups of people in order to ensure a place of existence. But they can never they never came up with the answer for that which they can't answer. Because even if we take them somewhere else, they keep coming back on Earth.
Mm.
They frequency vibration, they radio station is the Earth station.
Mm. Mm.
Right? So you know when they're gonna be born, where they coming back at. So all of the major hospitals, what they call, it's one in California called Sinai Hospital, all the celebrities go.
Mm.
That used to be a Grand Doula Center. Cook County Hospital in Chicago. Um, they used to be doula centers. So all of the chiefs know where to go to be born to the doulas. But now we getting here and the doulas ain't there. And we got all these bright ass lights erasing our memory when we coming out.
Mm. Mm.
And we not knowing what's going on. And they tell you in Men in Black, when they hit you with the flash, you're gonna catch amnesia.
Mm.
But if you had a lady that's having twins, have her get one birth in that lit up ass delivery room, but then turn off all the lights for the next baby and light candles all over the place, what they call ambient light. And you'll see one of them gonna be able to remember what took place in the womb, and the other one not.
Mm.
He not gonna remember nothing from before he was born. They don't erase our memories between lives. They erase our memory when we come into this one, in the ER, in the delivery room. Then they traumatize you. That's what the slapping you on the ass is. You're not supposed to make the baby
Mm.
cry.
Mm.
You're supposed to clear the baby mouth and put the baby's suckle on the teeth. You're not even supposed to cut the umbilical cord. All
Mm.
those are tools of oppression. It's to interrupt the pair bonding between mother and child. All that come from the Anunnaki.
Mm.
Everything that we did by nature, we done right. Everything that we done by education and erudition of the Anunnaki, they teach us to do shit that's wrong. They know that if we ever figure it out in mass, they can't stay. Well, we didn't figure it out in mass, and now they have to go. Right? So this is the close of the age, and we in a Jubilee year. A lot of people don't know that. This is a Jubilee year. Man, well, what that mean? Jubilee is a year in where you have to always return or settle all debts. All debts must be settled.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They threw the years off. They changed the calendars. We didn't went through a Julian calendar, Gregorian calendar. We didn't went through Egyptian calendars, Coptic calendars. We went through a whole bunch of different calendars for them to distort the time. But they don't have an answer for the stars. Because they no matter what calendar we come up with, it's going to always adjust itself to sync with the stellar alignment. Because the calendar is based off the alignment of the stars in relation to your position on Earth. Your global positioning system for where you're going to be born at is locked into your DNA code, right? And when you come back, your birth date is it's in relation to your prior birth date and exit date. They're gonna determine what your future birth date gonna be when they call you in. Now, some of us that get conjured up come in on a day that comes with a message in and of itself. Let's just say, for example, Black Magic 363 was born on Martin Luther King's birthday, right? But you're not the person that, or you're not Martin Luther King's spirit in your body. You just born on his birthday, right? And let's just say they named you Michael, and let's just say that you was born in the same city. So whatever his family was going through, and from him being on the other side, he sent you to go clean it up because it's your specialty.
Mm.
You specialize in that. You was the ancestor that he sent back to clean up the assassination attempt on his life, or before they murdered him in the hospital. Right? So all of those things become relevant. We used to know this is like elementary school information for the earthborn. Mm. Now this is esoteric mysticism for the earthborn.
Yeah.
Because the information still got to be passed on so that we can break the cycles and break out of the slumber. So when Enlil and his son, he called his son to back him up. They was getting their ass kicked. Mm-hmm. Right? Thoth told his brother, Marduk, they going for Nibiru. If they start losing, you have to secure Nibiru for Anu. Anu was on what they call a state visit to Earth and got caught in the middle of the conflict, the war between Enki and Enlil. Right? Inanna is irate because they disrespected her daddy. Right? Y'all don't fight in. It's like right now you got that drunk uncle that come in, fucked up the family reunion. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it. All right. Then you got the other uncle get to put that drunk uncle in his place. That's Enki. You know you ain't got no business over here at Big Mama house acting the ass out in front of all these. Look, you got all the ladies and the kids out here. You out here drunk acting the fool. That's Enki. Now the crazy part is when that start, Enki's sober. But by the time Enki get drunk, him and Enlil gonna tear the whole family reunion up fighting. Mm. They gonna knock over the food, try to drown each other's face in the punch bowl. Okay, now that's why you always got sibling rivalry.
To this day.
You got Cain slew Abel. Right? Esau stole Isaac's birthright. Jacob stole Esau's birthright. They just have to play the story out in the humans because it's in the DNA. Mm. It's in the DNA because most of the humans is hybrids from Enki and Enlil now. But Enki's children always kept the homeland. You know, Enki's children are the African tribes. We used to call Africa the Afar Inca. It's a Afar tribe over there right now. Right? They call this land over here Amur Inca. That's why they keep telling us we
Amur Inca.
Mm-hmm. We are Maru. Mm-hmm. They Mare. It's two different words with the same translation in English. Because English ain't our language, we can be deceived in English.
Mm.
Because though none of us know any, we don't speak Choctaw, right? We don't speak Ojibwe on a day-to-day basis. We don't use those languages. Because we don't use those languages, we have to take the common dictionary, Noah Webster's dictionary. Who the hell was he? What make him such an authority on the dictionary that he can put out the dictionary in the English language? And you mean to tell me that they didn't have no dictionary in 1500 under King James when they translated the Bible? How did they know what language to put it in? Right? So now we start going back to an even older dictionary called the Oxford Dictionary of the English Language. Oxford is where they hatched that slave catcher plot. Y'all came on ships. It was an academic story that was used to miseducate people so that they will grow up in a perpetual state of amnesia, never know who they are, never know who their children, never know what to tell their children they are. So now you're not Amaru no more. You're not Choctaw no more. You're not Ojibwe no more. You're not Sioux no more. You understand what I'm saying? You're no longer a Mississippian. Now you are a Negro. You black. You colored folks. You indigenous. You native. All of those things that keep you from knowing you organic land over here with first rights of the earth right by birthright. So long as you don't understand that, then you get lost. Now we looking at they coming. I don't know the day they gonna be here. But the little ships has been peppering the skies all over the world. People been sending me the pictures they've been taking. They've been seeing cloaked ships behind the mystery clouds, right? Now, if you go back to the story of Moses in the Bible, you remember when they was leaving Egypt, it was led by a pillar of cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night, right? It was a cigar-shaped craft that cloaked itself as a cloud in the daytime. And when it lit up at night, you could see a bright ass light. It was like a spotlight leading the way. But all of those stories is just to tell us or remind us of how to tap into the Akashic record to get to the real story. Because they use just enough truth to hook and reel you in. Right? And once they got you hooked in, they bait and switch. They switch it up on you. If somebody tell you you're going to burn for eternity in hell and you bleed that shit, you supposed to burn. Period. Right? If somebody tell you while they live in heaven on earth that you just got to wait till you die to get to heaven, you supposed to wait till you die to get to heaven if you bleed. But while the time they telling us this, now we got these mega preachers riding around in Rolls Royces with chauffeured limousines and all. Joel Osteen, Freddie Price. Freddie Price was doing community work though, on a level that it wasn't none of the other ones doing. TD Jakes, right? TD Jakes one of us. He from the land. He an old Olmec. Now he's trying to fuck us the truth because Farrakhan got on his ass. Let's just hope it ain't too late for him. They sent him a message. Most of us don't remember. They blew his goddamn church up.
Mm.
That was the Anunnaki that did that.
Mm.
They telling him you only got a certain amount of time to bump straight. You about to be out of there. Now he trying to tell the truth every time he grab that microphone. He should have been doing that 30 years ago.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? But it don't matter to me when they bump straight, long as they bump straight. Because when it's over with, anybody that don't bump straight go with the Anunnaki and they going to be what they call food for the Anu gods. They call them the Anuna gods. They carnivores. They eat humans. And some of them don't look like us. Some of them look like lizards. But they talk, they English, if you take their lisp away, their English is more proper than all of ours. They know the language because English is not an earth language. It's the language, it's the composite language of all of the languages that they divided us up from originally speaking. You can look through a English dictionary, right? I got one that's a Webster Encyclopedic Dictionary, this big. When I look through there, you got words from every language on earth that make up the English language.
Mm.
Because by nature, we're going to automatically start going back to the origin. We can't help it. They know this. And that's why you read about they divided up the tongue so we couldn't speak the same language because and Enlil was taking over the Babylonian launch pad on the ziggurat that was a launch station to Nibiru. It had a Stargate on top of it. He stole the Stargate up and buried it and didn't think nobody would ever find it. But Enki knew how to find it, right? So then he got pissed. So then that's when he brought from what we call the mirror dimension, the exact opposite of Earth, upside down and backwards.
With
That's
the
why we've been doing everything upside down and backwards.
with the dragon lady. That's who they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the one been running the earth. She the one was given 6,000 years to rule. She can't sit on the Queen of Heaven and Earth seat because she's from the mirror dimension. That's why her throne was under the Vatican
Mm.
because she comes from beneath us, so to speak. In this dimension, imagine it's a mirror, got all the earth reflected, but the people that's to the reflection is the exact opposite of us.
Mm.
Right? We right-handed, they left-handed. Right? We love our mama, they love their daddy. We think our mama cook better, they think their daddy cook better. Even if he don't know how to cook, he still cook better. Right? Now we believe in certain stuff that they don't believe in. We believe in just doing right because it's the right thing to do.
Mm.
They believe in only do right when you can benefit from it.
Mm.
Right? That's why, like the last time I told you, like I don't be asking for no money because I'm not doing this for money because that's our culture. Each one teach one.
Mm.
Right? But if somebody offer, it's like when you go to Big Mama house and she offer you that plate of food and you talking about I ain't hungry. Everybody eat at Big Mama house.
Mm.
She ain't no. You're not gonna bring them kids over here and don't feed them. We're not doing that. That's how Big Mama is. Whether she is Italian Big Mama, an Asian Big Mama, an African Big Mama, or American Big Mama, it's the same culture.
Mm.
You're not going to Big Mama house and turn down the food because it's disrespectful. We all know that, right? So now, when the wars broke out, Thoth seen that it was getting real bad. And Enlil had brought in some shit that we didn't have a remedy for. Watch the movie Great Wall and you'll understand what we was up against. But when we killed them, they came back looking like us.
Mm.
Right? And the only one that we couldn't kill was the queen. They queen is a seahorse. She like a female seahorse. She got a proboscis like a hyena, where it looked like she got a penis. Right? And then she inject larvae into their males, which look like a voluptuous woman to us. But that depends on their level. Because some of them that's lower level, they look like some ugly ass women. Earth women are not organically unattractive. Attractiveness comes from body symmetry, facial symmetry. All of this is making up your appearance of beauty, right? They women don't have a reverence for the womb. Our women reverence the womb. You can smell a woman coming from a mile away. You can't smell our women. This is how we know them, right? They women don't believe in taking care of the vajayjay. They look at it like a man with some balls. That's how they look at it,
Mm.
right? Half these niggas don't wash their balls, and half of them women over there don't wash their cooter bird. Right? So you get to see the difference in when they take on the human form because we killed them here. Once they start coming back looking like us, Enlil created a device, right? And he used to be able to scan them and see which was us and which was not. All the device did was show them that instead of an XY chromosome, they had a YX. It was backwards,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the only reason why you could tell them apart. And they YX male turns into an XY female in appearance. When they get real high rank, they look like Kim Kardashian, Queens of the Damn, right? But what's going on inside them is some grotesque and ugly shit, right? That's why you see Kim putting Kanye through all that bullshit. She's reenacting the conquest of the Dragon Queen taking over Earth, right? And Kanye is reenacting the victim, Inky, because all he wanted was some good sex, right? That's his history. And it's been his history before he ever came to Earth. Even the earlier incarnations of Thoth before they came, he was female. Everybody on Earth, everything on Earth was female until the Anunnaki came. That's where the gender contract come from, which I'm not gonna get into that because that's a whole nother thing. The gender contract is a long drawn out description, but I did a video on it already on my Facebook. Right. So when we're talking about the New Jerusalem is not the mother plane, but it comes from the mother plane, and it's a city. It's gonna land on Emerald Lake in Colorado, right? And Silver Bow is the county, I believe it is. But that's where it's gonna land, and it's made out of gold and precious gemstone. It's called the Crystal City for a reason. The dome that is made up, that's made over it, is made out of those stones, those precious stones. And when they said Atlantis sink, it didn't sink, it flew away. It didn't sink into the ocean, it flew into the sky. But to us, it's the same because we ain't never got to the bottom of the ocean swimming, and we ain't never flew to the top of the motherfucking upper atmosphere of space, right? So when they came, this is why everything is squared off instead of rounded off. All of our cities in ancient times was concentric circles. All of the cities now is squares with lines and sharp curves, sharp bends, 45-degree angles. That's all mathematical left brain logic in Leo shit. Inky knew the rules of Earth, and he didn't want to upset the balance. That's why he wasn't never on none of that military subjugation of the planet, mass mining of the gold. Right? So we know about Anunnaki. Another place you can look for somebody that's look like us telling you about the Anunnaki is Credo Mutwa. He was the Sunusi of the Zulu tribe, the high priest of the Zulu nation. And Credo Mutwa was telling you about him. He called the ones that look like reptiles Chitawule. Right? So they are different. Right? But the story is still the same. In India, they talk about them in their scriptures, but they don't call them Anunnaki.
Is the movie The Predator based on them?
Yep. So the Predator is the Andromeda beings. That's based on when Enlil called the dragon bitch and her clans. That's what they looked at like. They didn't look like the Predator so much as they did like trying to think of a good example. They was as tall as the Predator. They had the dreadlocks, but their face wasn't like that. They didn't have the giant pincer. They didn't have that part. If you go to the Stargate, they look like the Wraith. Stargate deep space. They look just like the Wraith from Stargate. That's actually the best depiction of the species that Enlil called for support. They crossed his ass out. When they crossed him out, he had to take sides with Enki and Ainana now. So now he didn't turn his son loose on Earth, and Ninigajita thought to send his brother to go secure Nibiru. When they secured Nibiru, the distress signal goes out to the Galactic Council, the entire Galactic Council. This is like all of the guys that maintain order in all of the universes, right? Their job is at times like this to do what they did. They put us in something called a Pleiadian Arcturian light lock barrier, right? They did that so this shit gonna get over with, or y'all gonna all suffer the same fate. Inside that light lock, your nuclear um fallout, it can't get out of the light barrier. It's designed to capture the rapid separation of atoms in a nuclear blast, because that's what causes all of the problems, is the rapid separating of atoms at an atomic level, right? So now all these space movies, right, that they be showing us, they rooted in some reality. They rooted in some of the ancient history.
Like Star Wars and Anakin.
Yeah. So Yoda is supposed to be Thoth. Luke Skywalker is supposed to be the one who becomes the Lucifer or Darth Vader. If you ever notice, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Well, the story is Luke is Luther, and Luther is Lucifer, right? So it's his name. And Dark Vader is talking about the primordial abyss, the sacred noon, or the dark mother, right? But they switched the gender to confuse us. So they really not fighting no male deities. They fighting the divine feminine at every turn. Right? Because Lucifer is Ainana, who they call Mary, that rebellious woman, and they call her that because she went above Anu head to Prime Creator, Big Mama, and she made the agreement with Mother Earth, right, the maiden, to produce a child to protect the Earthborn. And it didn't go through the Galactic Council because it went above their head.
Oh, man.
And that pissed off Enlil, and even pissed off Enki. Right? Enki don't get riled up easy. Right? But he wanted the birthright to go to his son Marduk, not his adopted son, Ninigajita. Right? He wanted it to go to, so now they got to deal with it because he got mitochondrial right of inheritance, and he have Y chromosome right to rule. These is the stories. So all that science fiction is really science fact. Most of the shit they telling us they don't want us to accept the reality of how advanced this shit is. But they've been had androids since the 50s. This time around. But we all androids that have a light body operating it.
Right.
Because we nanotech. Right? So this is why it's so difficult for people once they wake up to even entertain any of that religious shit. Because the level of science we dealing is spooky level intelligence.
Rod, we this is nanotech, this body. We're remote controlling it somewhere in the galaxy. Where are we right now controlling this nanotech? Where are we right now? Our light.
We're not in the 3D reality. We controlling it from the fifth dimension.
From the fifth.
Right? The only way we can communicate with our higher self is through raising our 3D vibration so we can purify the ego enough for a higher self to again give us infinite intelligence.
Mm.
And all of us, it's a method that I can't go over because it's some of the people we don't want to have that information. But it's a method to tap into your higher consciousness and become one with your higher self. That's easy as hell,
Mm.
right? Which when once we see the three kings walk in the land, I'm opening up a training center. It's gonna be like Professor X School for the Gifted,
Mm.
right?
Dope.
And that's gonna be
Amazing.
done in honor of Elijah Muhammad.
Amazing, my brother.
Yeah. So we gonna the language we're gonna be teaching the children is what we call modern Nuwapic,
Uh-huh.
and that's written by the Nuwabians and Malachi York,
Mm.
right? So we already got our own language to go back to get out of the English paradigm of spell language.
Right, right,
The
right.
language is designed to keep the mind in a perpetual state of confusion because even when you clear on what you know, the mispronunciation of a word changed the whole dynamic of the sentence.
Mm.
And all of the words is based on alphabet, and each alphabet had to be alchemically charged in order for it to be added to the system of writing and speaking.
Mm. Rod, what's the connection between the Anunnaki and the ancient Negas?
That's what the people in India call the Anunnaki, the Nagas,
Oh. Mm.
Nagas or Nagus, the
Mm.
Nagas.
Mm.
That's an old Sanskrit word for Anunnaki,
I see. I get it.
and it means the ruler from the sky, basically, the rulers that came from the sky or the god kings,
Mm. Mm.
right? Now we was just as intelligent as they were, but we wasn't a warring people. We didn't do war. Go back to Shaka Zulu. Watch that movie again. You'll see that they having mock warfare until Shaka came along and said, "Nah, we ain't gonna never defeat these invaders this way. You can't dance against bullets, right? Because they come in with something that's outside of your paradigm.
You
You
can't
can use it,
you can't be on some neo shit like change the frequency or tune into that.
right? You can, but the problem is they know which one of us was powerful enough to do that, and them the ones they targeted for execution.
Okay.
That's the whole doctrine of COINTELPRO. That's what they looking for, right? But it's a level of training you have to go through to get to the air bending, fire bending, water bending, earth bending, and then finally ether bending. You can't do that neo shit instantly at birth, right? You got to develop into that.
Mm.
Well, we used to develop into it by the time we was 40 or 50. So
Mm.
they knew that if they can get us to start killing each other in our teens and our 20s, that the ones of us that's going to be the most volatile at that age is the ones that's going to be most likely to evolve into Neo. And this is why they was got us killing each other in the streets. Got our kids turning all our babies against each other. That's foul. They are feminizing the males, masculizing the females in order to undermine the divine feminine,
Mm.
right? A masculine man will tell you there's nothing like being caressed by a soft and feminine woman,
Mm. Facts.
right? It's almost to the point now where we gotta start taking blood. Hey, I need some of your blood, baby. I want to date you, but I gotta make sure you was born male. You know, it's just the way it is.
Mm.
But the symbol for the Negus is the cobra.
Mm.
The cobra or the snake is the symbol for the young master in training.
Mm.
Once he get done training, then he get his wings. He becomes a dragon, a
Mm.
full-fledged master,
Mm.
right?
Like
And this is those.
Grand Dragon, Grand Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, the grand dragon as a whole is a specific dragon.
Okay.
Dragon mean master. The grand dragon is Quetzalcoatl, which is Thoth, which is the great plumed serpent. It's only two of them, Alekba and Ogun. Right. So when you go to the Hopi culture, they talk about red Kachina, blue Kachina.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or when you go into some of the other cultures, they talk about the great father and the black dog. Right. It's saying the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but the appropriation of the culture and then the misappropriation of the culture have us trapped between what's being said, what's being implied, and what we know is to be facts. And if you can get those three, you can mix them up like three-card money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we keep doing. We keep taking sides before we figure out the game we playing.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a guy that gets stuck in Islam. You ain't supposed to get stuck over there, buddy. You was just supposed to go check that shit out, Wallace Muhammad, right? Because Elijah sent him to Saudi Arabia to get an Islamic education, but Elijah wasn't teaching that kind of Islam. He lost sight of what he was sent to do because he was resentful of his father. He couldn't understand why he couldn't do what his father could do.
Mm.
A lot of males go through that, right? Imagine Michael Jordan's son if he had the same level of desire to be the greatest basketball player. Now he grow up, he don't even make the NBA. How do he feel in relation to his father?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the type of stuff that they teach our children. Jealousy of learned behavior that they've been using for thousands of years to conquer. Right. And Earth don't have as many males on it normally. We
I was gonna ask you that. Again, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the male is a later addition to the human species. So they didn't have millions of men and millions of women. You had a couple thousand men and millions of women on Earth. Every woman is not supposed to have sex. That's why some of them have no sex drive.
Why not? Why then?
They just because it's just not enough men to go around. But now that it's more men, that's through the proliferation and trying to overcome the threat.
Mm-hmm.
Females produce more males in the time of war than they do in the time of peace. If it was peaceful on Earth, it would only be a couple 100,000 men on the entire planet, but it wouldn't be no 8.4 billion people either.
Mm. Mm.
You know, so a lot of that stuff is modern to us as a species on the planet.
Rod, you mentioned a little earlier about us tapping into the ability to airbend and stuff like that at the later ages, 40, 50. The confusing thing is though now is that I feel like because it feels like time is speeding up, we don't know how old we are. I mean, I look the same like I looked 10, 15 years ago. We don't know what's going on with time and our age anymore. So
Okay, so the time is a construct to measure your position as you traverse through open space, so to speak.
mm,
Time is a side effect of the speed of light,
mm,
right? So time is mutable and it's changeable, which we are in the process of not just changing the physical reality, which goes to the flat earth, the round earth, the hollow earth. At the close of the age where we at now, in the Jubilee year, every paradigm has to be challenged.
mm,
If everybody believed the earth was round, somebody would come along with a convincing and compelling argument to challenge that paradigm.
mm,
And the same with if somebody said it was flat. If we've been believing it was flat for the last 1,000 years, somebody is going to come with a compelling paradigm to challenge that narrative. Because we only live, we creating this reality in real time as we live here. That's why we not living tomorrow yet, because tomorrow can't come till we create it. And we can't create it in synchronization until we all synced. It got to be a certain amount of us, especially the women, that sync. Once they sync, then this is when the split experiment, right, comes into play. The mutability of creation in real time. Earth ain't none of that shit, but it's all of that shit at the same time.
Same time.
We own a flat Earth. We own a round globe. We own a hollow Earth. We own a concave Earth. We own a convex Earth. We even own a square Earth. The only thing is which timeline we gonna travel and which one of them are we gonna experience is the question, right? So everything you think you know got to be challenged in order to find out what you want to create. So we'll create it when it get here. You can argue it all you want to, but until we create it, it ain't none of that shit. What it is today don't mean it's gonna be that tomorrow. You know, some people say we live in a snow globe, right? And they come up with a compelling argument, especially with the light lock. The light lock make it look like we in a dome, or that we encapsulated by something that we can't quite penetrate, right? But it ain't just Earth; it's the whole Earth realm consists of everything from the sun in the center all the way to Pluto. That's called the Earth realm. All that's part of under the jurisdiction of galactic seat number 50.
Damn, you know the galactic seat. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, there's two galactic seats that govern Earth, one masculine 50 and one feminine 40. Galactic seat 40, it was the queen of heaven and earth, Inanna, that was her seat. They all have to go now. Right? They all got to go because they lost. The Anunnaki lost when they came up against the Earthborn. But as part of the galactic agreement, they got to take a certain amount of gold and they will be able to make what we call visits to Earth every 3,600 years when they're in proximity to continuously collect resources. And they will compensate us for the resources we produce.
How will they compensate us?
It's an energy exchange. Most of our compensation comes in the form of protection from external forces being able to come back here. Nobody else can't come do this shit no more. That was the only thing Thoth wanted is leave Earth alone. Leave the Earth realm out of y'all chaos. So that's what they have to negotiate, or they have to make sure they got that part when they see the Galactic Council. Because that's the key, that's the master key to free Earth. The all Anunnaki, some of the hybrids will stay because they got more Earth in them than they have Anunnaki. But some of them, because of where they heart space at, they can't stay either. We call them traitors, sellouts, and all that shit. But they're not really. They really not traitors and sellouts. They really warlords.
They just look like us.
Yeah, and they come for war. Everywhere they go, they only go there for war.
Do you think Thoth is incarnated right now on Earth?
Absolutely is.
Who might he be? Is he multiple individuals? Is he one individual?
Thoth is one person, and you're talking to him.
So when you were born, I think I heard you say you remember being born in the womb.
Yes, sir. I remember swimming in my mama amniotic fluid doing flips.
Describe that a little more, because that's a profound statement to say. Could you get a little more in depth? That sounds, something you don't hear many people say that.
I know. Well, that's because it's techniques, it's memory recovery techniques that we used to know.
Hmm.
I just so happen to remember some of them. I don't know how I remember them, if something triggered it. But when I started going back every day, I try to think, what did I do yesterday? What did I do the day before? Because days start running together as you get further away from an event. You will know something happened on the 12th of January, but by the time the 5th of December get around, was it the 12th or was it the 13th? Right?
Hmm.
So now you got to try to go back. But in the course of doing memory exercises to uncover old memories, I remembered I would remember this stuff up until I was a certain age in which I started to forget, and I was about 8 years old.
Mm.
Right? I remember having dreams, and my dreams going off like a Western movie. But I didn't know what it was as a child until I got to be an adult. My mama was watching the Western movie with my daddy,
Hmm.
and I was still connected to her heart chakra, right? And because she loved my daddy and I love my daddy, I'm able to see what she see.
Mm.
But I had to be in an altered state, which in this case was sleep. But when I was remembering in my being in the womb, I can remember hearing my mama laugh and talk about the baby in there jumping around like a little monkey. I
Mm.
remember this. I remember the doctors put the thing, listen to me in my mama's stomach, and he said he a little busybody in there, ain't he? And she said, oh yeah, he always jumping and flipping. I can remember those conversations. I can remember having conversations with my big mama about me before I was born.
Mm.
And she getting the instructions. This is how I even was able to figure out who I was in this lifetime. I remembered all this shit by persistently trying to build my mind up to think on a higher level, begin to unlock things in the mind that most people will assume they self to be insane and probably kill themselves for.
Mm.
Right. And that's why it's called the barrier of no pass. And if you ask any mystic about what's the unpassable gate or the unpassable barrier, it's where you crossing over out of what we call sanity into insanity. But you got to be able to find your way back.
Right, right, right.
And most people can't find their way back and they end up either bugging out or killing somebody.
Hmm.
I just had the genetic equipment that allowed me to participate on a higher consciousness level to higher consciousness expressions.
Hmm.
So I can remember. I remember um, having diaper rash when I was a baby.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I remember that shit like it was yesterday. But I don't tell people a lot of that stuff because I learned at an early age that when you start saying certain stuff, you trigger a matrix agent reaction in people.
Mm.
They want to shut you down and shut you up as fast as possible so that you're not contagious. And with this truth shit and this thinking shit, it's contagious,
Mm.
right? So when you start telling the truth, it resonates. You don't got to convince nobody when you telling the truth, right? But the ones who think they smarter than you get angry and upset, and they want to shut you down because you're talking over their ability to grasp. Their cognitive dissonance is extreme.
Mm.
And they can be a very intelligent person, but you outside they paradigm. For instance, Einstein was all cold in mathematics, right? But he probably couldn't cook. You know what I'm saying? And cooking is based on weights and measure. So he didn't know how to put that subtle essence in the food, so he couldn't cook.
Mm-hmm.
But he could measure, he could read a recipe. It's all about weights and measures,
Mm-hmm.
right? But his food probably wouldn't taste good because he'd be too busy worrying about what the next physics problem gonna be than to give a damn about cooking.
About cooking, right, 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 right.
Right. And that's why they don't like the monkey man, because the monkey man to do it all. It's
Mm.
a this is why they tell you your child got ADD, ADHD. They telling you that his they can't give him anything to hold his attention long enough for him to grasp the concept because the concept is beneath him. His mind is bigger than your 1 + 1 = 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we not using the proper educational format for a human species anyway. The format of education we use is the same format they use to train animals. Pavlovian conditioned response reinforced by learned helplessness in a Skinner box.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's not gonna never give us the ability to think because it's designed as a 12-step withdrawal process from thinking. It's just like AA used to stop you from thinking. Instead of being addicted to alcohol, you was addicted to thinking. So they're gonna put you in this 12-step program,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
right?
Mm.
You always hear the teacher yelling at the child that's daydreaming.
Yeah.
He the
Yeah.
smartest motherfucker in the room, probably in the building. The one she yelling at because he looking out the window, daydreaming.
Yeah.
She don't even know he might be disassembling the universe in front of her face with using the power of his mind, putting it back together while he learning something.
Mm-hmm.
But she telling him he daydreaming. Don't daydream in my classroom.
Mm.
He looking at her like, what are you talking about? I was doing my homework. You was just sitting there looking out the window. No, I was doing my homework. But she think homework is a class assignment. No, that's not homework.
Right.
Your real homework is building your home.
Indeed.
You
Indeed.
know?
I want to open up the lines for a couple of questions. Wow, man, that was off the top of the head, man. I appreciate you going in like that, brother. I was definitely listening and just absorbing the information, brother. And I definitely appreciate you for coming on here again. We got about 2,800 people in the building. I want all y'all. I seen somebody earlier talking about supporting you. So as I did last time, I want to post your cash app so those who the brother that asked earlier or the sister, whoever it was, could support you and anybody else. But I want to tell everybody, make sure you hit the like button, family. Make sure you hit the like button. You're here. I know you're enjoying yourself. It's very important for us to get this information out to the people for the algorithm. So make sure you hit that like button. Let me are we gonna get to some Q&A? We're gonna do about 15-20 minutes of Q&A, and then we're gonna get out of here, family. All right. So let me get the brother's cash app, and I'm gonna put it.
Okay, I'm gonna hold it up here for you to see it. And you can type it in. See it.
Hold up. Give me a second. SIKAPE. Yeah, I got it.
All right. Yeah, I normally keep me a Nubian brother with me to answer all my Anunnaki questions because I
Mm-hmm.
don't normally now I don't have no choice now. I gotta deal with them now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, whew. Why do you think a lot of the let's say the Afrocentric black scholars, they when they hear about the Anunnaki and Atlantis, they usually say, "Oh, that's some bullshit. That's fake. That never happened."
Well, for a long time, the furthest we could get tracing Atlantis back was we stopped at Plato
Mm-hmm.
until we started searching over here.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it is what we call tribal secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Only certain tribes have certain parts of the puzzle And if you don't know the culture, you won't even know how to get the part from them because they don't even know they got it.
Mm.
Another thing is a lot of them, like I said, when they was doing their investigation, they took a side. Like a lot of the Afrocentric brothers are swear up and down that somebody called the white man the problem, but they don't know the white man not even white. The white man is a status, just like black man is a status. One is a living man and one is a dead man, right? But it's really based on galactic chess. White is the invaders, and the black is the ones who got invaded. When you playing chess, the white piece move first. That's called the attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then the black piece respond to the movement of the white piece.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us they didn't tell us that it meant skin. They implied it because they're not gonna never outright lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna mislead you and then let you follow your own misled information,
Mm-hmm.
right? So not until I read uh the Nazi doctrine, I read KKK doctrine, Phineas priesthood doctrine, and it doesn't match with white privilege because all of the people that ascribe to those doctrines is called po white trash and they treat it the same as us. They call them po white trash because they ain't never want nothing to do with them in the first place. The ones that we brought over here in mass in the early 1900s was because they was using pale faces to block institutions so that we couldn't find out what was going on the land. So we had to invite massive amounts of pale skinned faces from Europe to overrun their institutions. And that's how we was able to get the information out in the public domain. And then you had people like Prince Hall and Noble Drew Ali who went in and risked their lives. And in case of Noble Drew Ali lost their life to get this information and put it in the public domain.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now when Noble Drew Ali said get a good Moorish education, the ones that's like me took that to mean whatever you do, study the shit out of these people and find out who they is and where they come from, and that'll solve the problem,
Right. Right.
right? So when you look at dark-skinned people from Egypt is classified as white. Some people from Ethiopia is darker than the people in Egypt, and they still classify them as white.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that's because they have what they call Indo-European features. Right? That's not enough. That's not a European classification because you classifying dark people from a different continent under the same classification. Right? So that lets you know that it's not about skin color. It's about status and law. It's about de facto jurisdiction being confronted with a de jure jurisdiction. The de jure is the rightful heirs to the land. That's why I love Tariq Bey because he been telling us, he told us through the life of the contract. Well, this man been over 50 years he been teaching since I was a baby. And he been telling you how to navigate the contract while we was under the contract. Now the contract is up. He's still defining words for people. 50 years later, he's got the patience of a saint. 50 years later, he's still telling people what de facto mean, what de jure mean, what um, lawful versus legal. He's still going through that's elementary for what he's teaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? But why do he have that kind of patience? And why do he continuously go over the same information for 50 years? One
Right.
of us is gonna get it. He don't need all of us to get it. He just need one of us to get it. It's the same with what's my man name? I be running in the blocks on them names, but it's a brother out of New York. Same way. He been doing this for about 30 years, since the 80s, right? And he's a natural born medicine man, but he don't call himself that. But when he described things that he do, he performed the function of a medicine man in his general area, going into the woods, becoming one with nature, learning to talk to the animals, learning to communicate with the herbs so that they can tell you what they do for the body.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is based on information.
Mm-hmm.
In our culture, the most qualified for the job have to fill the position until a more qualified person appears.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is how we know who the chiefs on the land is when you have a foreign government acting in a de facto capacity. All you got to do is look for the ones who's tribing up.
Mm-hmm.
They all automatically tribe up. They don't have to mean it. They don't have to know they doing it, but they're gonna be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be going right back to the same tribal ways from before 1492.
Let me
And
get
then
to
you're
it.
gonna end up with three what we call high chiefs, which is not the only ones,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is in this case is Chief Malik Angel Bay, formerly known as Jeff Ford,
Mm-hmm.
Larry Hoover, and Stan Tukey Williams. I can't understand for the life of me how he let them freeze him, but he did. I would have been like, shit, no, 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 don't freeze me. Just go and put me out my misery. I hate to be cold.
Mm-hmm.
He took that shit like a G. That man was froze for over 10 years, almost 20. That shit crazy. How he did that. I mean, for his people, he allowed them to put him, freeze him like 100 below zero or some shit like that, and then throw him back out. He was walking around for months with the chills, right? Everybody seen Kanye with that crazy haircut. That's because Tukey hair fell out. He was telling me from being froze, his hair fell out. And he felt some kind of way about his hair falling out. He was more mad about his hair falling out than being frozen. Do you know how pissed off I would be if a motherfucker froze me? I, I fuck this hair. Bald me. Don't freeze me. He did it for his people. So I can't. Anything I thought I had to complain, cry, or bitch about, that's all out the window now. This man got froze in cryogenics. He got froze.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Wow.
Most of us don't. But then when he gonna tell the story, I'm just all I could do is say, bro, I'm sorry it took me so long to figure this shit out. That's all I could tell him. But it ain't that it took me a long time to figure it out. It took a long time for anybody to pay me any attention
Mm.
because they all just wrote me off as a madman. He crazy. Oh, he just one of them old angry niggas that did time.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never did no time. I mean, I ain't never let the time do me. I did the time. I used that shit to my greatest advantage. Mama said everything that they use to oppress you, that's what the same thing that you use to come up. All you got to do is reverse the strategy. When they use it against you, find out how you could benefit from it. So they locked me up for 16 years and something.
Mm.
There's a couple of things I refuse to do. I refuse to count the days, right? Because that's what convicts do. And I refuse to sit on my ass and play cards all day when it's a whole library over there full of law books and other books. Them two things I refuse to do. Another thing I refuse to do is to participate in any dumb shit. To me, dumb shit is, oh, watch my back while I run in the shower on that boy. No, I'm not the one. You run in that shower on him, I'm running there right behind you, and you not coming back out. Leave me out that shit. Right? So I used it, turned it into a monastery and a university. Brother Abdullah he got an article. He's in charge of the prison ministry for the Nation of Islam. and he was coming to the county when I was in there in 93, 94. And one of the things he said in one of his lectures, he was like, he was talking to the administration when he was locked up, and he told they was complaining to him about his religious beliefs. He was like, "This Department of Corrections, right?" And they said, "Yeah." He's like, "What the hell wrong with me correcting myself? You know, since I'm here, I might as well use it." My
Okay.
oldest brother and my sister right under me bought thousands of dollars worth of books over 16 years.
Mm.
I wrote my own curriculum, right? And I use the same guidelines they use at universities and colleges to write a curriculum to write my own curriculum. That's where I learned I studied their curriculums, and that's how I learned how to write my curriculum from studying what they teach. If you know what they teach, all you got to do is just write your own curriculum. The only difference is they gonna have a piece of paper when you get done with their curriculum, but when you get done with your own, you gonna have this here, but you ain't gonna have no paper. And that was the barrier. Nobody didn't think that I knew nothing because I didn't have no alphabets. I
Mm-hmm.
had a PhD or no MD or no BS or no associate behind my name. So they assumed that because only because I had a GED, that's all I knew.
Mm. Let me get to a couple of these questions real quick, Rod.
Yes, sir.
Where I seen the chat is moving so fast. All right. Aaliyah Bay wants to know, Brother Rich, can you ask Rod the symbolism and reason for circumcision of males at birth?
That's a Anunnaki um to be like Enlil. Enlil genitals, he don't have a foreskin from his species. We not that species, right? So the all of the ones that he called himself claiming, he wanted them to be circumcised so that they genitals will look like his.
Mm. Let's get to the next question. I just seen this moving so fast. Rich, can you ask him if Tuki told him his spirit name?
Um, Tuki had to answer that question for you. I can't answer that. I'm not allowed to.
Okay. Brother Rich, ask him his sources, please. I desperately want to read.
Okay, well, you can start with for the Anunnaki, you can start with Eric Von Danken's books, with Zechariah Stinson. You could go get the Holy Tablets from the Nubians. It's Gerald Clark got several books about the Anunnaki. Um, Also, you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Um, um, Masters of the Far East. It's like a 5 book collection. For the Vimanas Wars, Vimana Sutras, if you can get a translation of that, it's part of the Hindu scripture text. Um, that's a lot of references in and of itself right there. That's a good year worth of read.
Indeed. Uh, Victor, thank you for the cash app. I just got the cash app from Victor. Family, if you want to support the channel, my cash app is at the bottom of the screen. I sincerely thank everybody for tuning in. This has been truly been a great interview. Let's get to the next question. Why Dracodians are shifting the power to China?
The Draconians are out of power. They no longer are in power. Anything that you hear villainized in China and Russia right now is misdirection on their way out. But the Draconians are the ones that came, the Enlil called for support. They look like the Wraith from Stargate Deep Space. Wraith. If you look them up, matter of fact, if you go on to Facebook, it's a guy named Lamel on there. Um, I forgot his last name, but Lamel talk about the Wraith. He calling them by the term they was given in Stargate, right? But those are what we call reptilians or draconians.
How can we tell the difference between nature and scripted weather?
Right now, all harp is off, but scripted weather is also a tool used from the Anunnaki from the ships. They just hit another knot in right off of Japan on a 7.44 earthquake. Um, that's to let us know that they are confirming Larry Hoover's request that he made to the Galactic Council.
Why in gematria does Enlil, Earth, and Flood all equal 52?
Because Enlil is a master and 52 is a 7. Earth Earth is the seventh son of the Earth. Is Thoth. They call him the seventh because he was the seventh seed of Inanna, but she had 6 girls, one son, then she had 6 more girls. That's why the 13th tribe is the hidden tribe, the tribe of Thoth. But 52 equals 7, 7 equals master. 7 is the G. G is a 7-letter made for geometry, for geography. Um, Flood, I'm not, that's just a water sign. And that would be talking about Poseidon, which is Enki.
Who's in charge right now since the Dracodians are no longer in power?
We in what you call a power shift. We in the process in real time, right? So right now you have what you call a contingency team. They just holding paradigms. They just holding paradigms in place until when we see the 3 kings on the land, then we done finally got all of the power back. Right. So they gotta let the script run no matter how foolish it seems. Like this so-called Ukrainian war. Right. That's just clean. That's the same thing Trump was doing over here with the deep state. But they don't want you to know it, so they writing it off as if it's a war. And then on TV, they showing you Bosnia, they showing you bombs being dropped in Syria. Talk about that Russia is bombing Ukraine. And most of that stuff not true. They got people in body bags smoking cigarettes. I mean, come on now. We not paying no attention to those subtleties that's telling us it's all a big show. So straight out the 48 laws of power, create a compelling spectacle.
Did a battle happen on the moon and did they find a black female frozen on a ship?
They call her Mona Lisa.
Mm.
It wasn't a battle up there. The moon is a battleship. It will leave this motherfucker in the time of war
Mm.
where it has to go fight.
Mm.
A good book to read on that is called Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon.
Mm. That's interesting. Uh, are you into like when there's like a full moon? Do you do like meditations and stuff like that on the moon?
I don't wait on nothing. I do my meditations regardless of whether the moon is full or not.
Hmm. Okay. Um, how would one go about finding their spirit name?
Um, that's a good question. You have to give yourself a spirit name, or you are given the spirit name by one of the elders in your family. Many of us, our nicknames is tied to a character trait that is a spirit name.
Mm.
So a child might be born as Johnny Williams, right? But everybody in the and the family might call him Papa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Papa died 8 years before he was born. He reminded somebody of that Papa. They probably don't even remember him when they start calling him that, but it stuck, right? Because the nickname is a namesake. So you could find your spirit name through certain ritual ceremonies that a lot. For instance, it's a good one in the Igbo culture. There's a African LSD. It's called Igbo game,
Mm,
and you got to be have a guide when you do the ceremony because you can get lost in the ether, so to speak.
mm,
But once you go through the Igbo game ceremony, that's when you meet Big Mama herself. She gonna talk directly to you, bypassing all of the filters called chakras,
mm,
and it's gonna be more rememberable.
mm-hmm.
You know.
Uh, Magic Mayat wants to know: is the Galactic Council in session?
Um, from my understanding, they were in meetings all last week, and now the meetings are over. I don't. We finna get the results of them any day now. I don't know when it's coming, but they already agreed to take everybody that don't belong here and get them the fuck out of here.
What can you say about the Enuma Elish?
That's the one of the Sumerian tablets. The Enuma Elish is I think that's the story of Inanna, descent of Inanna into the underworld or something like that. But that's also in the holy tablets too.
Let's get to a few more questions. Is people with certain mental health a spiritual shaman?
90% of them. They call most shamans schizophrenics,
Mm-hmm.
especially the ones that haven't learned yet how to control the ancestral rogues in their family line that preceded them. So you hearing voices tell you to do nefarious things. That's one of your relatives that's in your direct ancestry that you ain't figured out how to put him in check yet.
So Patricia said, so chakras are filters. I think she meant to say
That's what you
filters.
meant to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they what they doing is um that's like a opening. Each chakra is like a information portal,
Mm,
and as they open up, they charge certain parts of the DNA, and that's where the information is coming from. When these sisters turn their mitochondria on full, it's going to automatically start activating chakras. And if you haven't done your self work, you in trouble.
mm.
If they activate your chakras and you haven't done your ascension work, your fasting, your meditations, and following your purpose, you can literally drop dead. It'll literally turn your heart or your brain off.
Wow.
Those who have fasted and done some of the work, they just gonna be like running into walls and shit from the shit that's going on in their head. So that's why you don't open all your chakras at once. You got to open them up where you can control that energy coming in stages.
Cat Murray wants to know your thoughts on Rosicrucian teachings.
The Rosicrucian teachings, also known as the teachings of the rose and the cross. The rose and the cross is the symbol for the sacrifice of the divine feminine. The the love is represented by the rose, and the rose is also the symbol for resurrection. And the cross is the symbol for the sacrifice or the execution. So the Rosicrucians teachings is geared toward teaching you how to tap into the divine feminine matrix, as with most secret societies teachings. More of the women's secrets are in Sufism than any other's esoteric art. They actually do ancient Atlantean rituals, the men do it, but they can't sustain the raising of the mitochondrial vibration. When the women are tuned in, they do those same rituals. It becomes contagious, and it'll also affect others in a like manner.
We're going to take two more questions, family. Once again, thank you for being in the room. Make sure you hit the like button, please. Make sure you hit the like button. It's important to get these shows spreading to more people all over the world. I'm going to take two more questions, family. Why do people in the conscious community think and say that we are the Anunnaki?
I can't say that the ones that saying the Anunnaki, they not, because a lot of them look like us.
Mhm.
But um, the conscious community right now, believe it or not, is a bigger problem than the church,
Mm.
um, or the mosque, or the synagogue. All of those was horrible for our people. And now these diet woke people talking about they conscious, it's in it for the money. Took sides in the information, and they one-sided with their information, and that's what the problem is with the conscious community. Um, they can say they can be all the Anunnaki they want to be because they want to be anything but themselves. It's the same thing as why we bleached our skin to try to look whiter under white supremacy,
Mm.
because we didn't have no understanding of who we were as the earthborn. So you don't know who you is, they can tell you anything they want you to be, and you gonna believe that shit.
Does the Mexican have cosmic origin such as the Africans, and is the Mexican in root with the African origin?
The Mexican people is a Maru, the organic Mexican, not the conquistador invaders or the mulatto offspring that they call Spaniards.
Mhm.
But the ones that's native to there that we call Inca, Aztecs, Mayans, they organic to the land over here. Just same way the people from Africa, they from over here, from over here. It's the same thing. It's just a different land that they was organic to. They was native to, right? So they the same people as the tribes from Canada into South America, into the Polynesian islands. They organic to the land. The word Mexican is really a distortion of of a Aztec word. I think it's called a Mexium, right? So they tell us that the old Aksum Empire was in Ethiopia, but that's not true because the what they call the Mexum or Moxum was uh, what we call the West of the Americas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Texas, Mexico, going into Panama. All them was all that's a Maru land, right? And that is right now that's Tupac shit.
Mm.
Everything west of the Rockies, from Alaska down into South America. Then you have the rest of the America on this side of the Rockies, which is Thoth's land, what they call Quetzalcoatl down in Mexico.
Mhm. Let's end it on this question. This is a good ender. Do you have any 2022 predictions, my brother Rod Hayes? We'll end it with that.
I'm not a prophet. I don't make predictions. But I could tell you this. I do know this is not a prediction. This is just what I know. That we about to see some drastic changes. The dog and pony show that they call DC is about to be exposed for what it is, a psyop. Trump is the president as far as the corporation is concerned, not Biden. Biden is the stage show, the pantomime, the theatrical display, right? That's why you got like 7 to 8 different Bidens. You got a CGI Biden, you got an Android Biden, you got Jim Carrey playing Biden, you got James Woods playing Biden. I'm gonna tell you this. Listen to him talk. When he started going that's Jim Carrey.
Mm.
Now, if you go back and watch Jim Carrey old stuff, you'll see him doing the exact same thing. He'll be having a conversation, and then he'll do. That's Jim Carrey. When he give a coherent lecture and speech, like the case that he presented for NATO, that's James Woods. It's another guy, I can't remember his name, but it's another actor that also played him too. When he acting like he got dementia, that's Jim Carrey. You forgetting shit,
Mm-hmm.
that's Jim Carrey. And that's why if you really be watching when he be so called speaking and you see Kamala back there holding back her laugh, that's because Jim Carrey is cracking jokes and she's trying not to let the gig be up. Right? You'll see Nancy Pelosi, whichever one, because they got like four of her, right? So all of this stuff is a stage show in front of us, and it's about to come crumbling down.
Mm. Would you leave the people with your contact info, Rod, so they could get in touch with you before we get out of here?
Yes, sir. Y'all can find my a lot of my stuff is on my Facebook page, Rod Hayes, and Instagram, Rod Hayes. Also 75, and then I got Morpheus Mysticus Megas on Instagram, which is pinned to the top of the Rod Hayes page because when they kick me off Rod Hayes, I do my live videos on Morpheus. Right. So that's where you find my information at, and that's where you find me at most of the time. I try to only stay in a certain place so I ain't hard to find.
Indeed. Hey, I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in. I want to thank Rod Hayes for coming on and joining us tonight. Another amazing show. Look forward to having you on again, my brother. But until then, peace, everybody. Peace, love, and light. We out of here.
Peace, fam.
Peace.